to start with, can you paint a picture for the audience of where you were in 2019?
Wow, 2019. Living in the Netherlands, working for a big corporate company. Had the house, had the car, was in a long relationship of 11 years, and just living the life that was, put out there by society, and was pretty good at it. I always knew that there was something like I have a bit of a rebellious spirit, so it was not really my place, but it was just yeah, like normal, in back in the Netherlands around Amsterdam. So yeah.
And at that point, were were you just sort of going through the motions and following the checklist of what society says to do, or were you sort of at that point doing what you really thought you wanted to do? Like, how was your, I guess, your mindset at that point?
Yeah, good one. So I was always a bit different. I like a bit rebellious. I always thought this is not really my thing, but I had this strong feeling of, okay, this is has supposed to be, right? We everybody needs to do this and just participate in the system, and that's normal. Um, but there was a moment, I know exactly, it was January 2019, and I went to my manager and I said, I want to do, because for 10 years, I was in the IT. And I went to the manager and I said, I want to do something because we have a budget, right? For doing some course or whatever. And I said to him, I want to do something. I want to do a course, but not another IT thing or not another. I was also in a bit in the sales, not another like trick I need to learn, right? So he really saved me. He said, Jeroen, I have something for you. You can go there. It's 5 days, but I promise you, your life will be completely different. You're either gonna move, you're gonna divorce, whatever. There's something big happening. And I was like, there's this little rebel inside of me said, yeah, let's do that. So I went to this course. It was 5 days, and these people just destroyed me, like in a good way. Like I came there with a big ego, thought I had everything figured out, and they just pierced through my ego. And I came out of it after 5 days, and I was just completely like lost, but in a good way. And and then from that moment, everything changed.
And what exactly changed? And how did you end up in Vietnam of all places?
yeah. So yeah. So what changed is that I was just I came out of it like, okay, who am I? Like, what the heck? What am I doing? They really shook me awake. And so what I did was, for 6 months straight, I was diving into uh, self-development, spiritual stuff, you name it, religion. I did all kind of ceremonies from ayahuasca until you name it. I was doing everything, and I loved it. Very interesting. So after 6 months, I was just a completely different person. I was completely different than, the big ego before and doing his corporate stuff. After 6 months, I was like, okay, I'm gonna play a different script now. So after 6 months, in June, I made I made more than one decision. I was like, okay, let's stop my work. Let's stop this corporate stuff. Uh, that was one thing. The second thing is, okay, I'm going to stop the relationship. So I'm going to divorce after 11 years. Third thing was, I'm going to move. So I moved to a different place. But I had this certainty inside of me. It's like, okay, everything will work out. Like, I mean, this is not what I want, and I'll figure out what I want. And the funny thing is, I stopped my job, my corporate job. I had like a budget for 1 month. So I had a budget for 1 month to pay my rent and to pay my food. But I was like, I'm going to figure this out. You know what? I'm going to do recruitment. I've never done it, like never ever done it. But I had like an IT background and I had some, connections. I was like, let's do recruitment. I can do that. And to be honest, yeah, I did it. So the only thing I need was my laptop and my phone, right? So I started a recruitment company with zero recruitment experience, like zero, just doing, right? And that's the whole thing. Everything's just do it and try to figure it out. And, So I did that. And then things got really interested. So first I had some couple of recruitment companies. Um, and it went really well. Sometimes less well, but mainly really well. Then at one point, I met a girlfriend, a woman, to become my girlfriend. I moved to Spain. And before I moved to Spain, I made some stupid business decisions, like horrible decisions. Then everything crashed, lost all my money, lost like my house, my car, like you name it. I lost everything. And there was even a moment that I slept outside for a week, that low. Um, and there was something very interesting because at my lowest point, when I had nothing, I was sitting on a bench, zero money. And at one point, the sun was shining on me. And I was like, it doesn't matter if I have zero money or 2 million. The sun is still shining on me. Like things are still going. And that for me was such a, I don't know, such an insight that it's like, I still got a second chance. So that's amazing. I can, F up a lot of times because the sun is still shining on me. Like I still breathe, I can still do my things. So then things started to change. I lived in Spain for a couple of years. I went back because the moment I was fully broke, my girlfriend left me. That was a bit of a hard time. I went back to the Netherlands, stayed there for a couple of months, I think 4 or 5 months, on a couch of a friend's place, which I'm very grateful for. It was like a couple. I stayed there for, I don't know, 4 or 5 months, and started from zero again. So with no money, they give me food, they took care of me, and I'm very grateful for that. And then I started a new business, which went pretty well. And then I was like, okay, it's going well now. What do I want? I was like, I want to get out of here. I want to go to Asia. So with the little money I made with the business, I was like, F it. I'm buy a ticket. I'm just going to fly to Bangkok randomly and I will see, I will go there. And, again, I had budget for maybe a couple of months. I just went there and everything fell into place. Of course, sometimes it's very lonely and you have to figure out a lot of stuff. But it's the freedom of just doing it, and if you F it up, then find a way to go, back on track. So I went to Bangkok for, find a nice place and blah, blah, blah. And then the business went very well. So last year, I was like, okay, this is going very well. Now I want to do what I actually love to do. Like, not because it was like, again, a marketing business and, it makes money, but what do I love to do? So then I had this period of, I don't know if you know it, Dustin, like Ikigai.
No.
Oh yeah, Ikigai is like, it comes from Japan. It's like the sweet spot of what you love to do, what you're good at, how you can make a good impact on the world, and how you can make money or something like that. So the sweet spot of these things is what you're supposed to do or whatever. It's something from Japan. So I was like ikigaiing all the time and thinking about it, and then I was like, okay, I got my sweet spot. I'm gonna do this. From now on, I'm 39. I'm just gonna do what I love to do. Not for the money anymore. I don't give a. I love money, but it's not the thing that I'm gonna chase anymore. So then I started last year with the things I'm doing right now. And then I was like, okay, I'm just going to do not only on business what I want, but I'm going to do on all of places what I want. So I'm like, yeah, I want to go to Vietnam. I want to drive a motorbike there. Oh, let's go, and just do it. Like, don't think too much about it because you have thousands of reasons not to do it, but just do it. Just buy a ticket and just go and see what happens. And you can never F it up because if you do so, it's for a reason. And it's all about the story you tell yourself. And I think that's the biggest thing I learned is, I don't know how you see it, but it's about any situation. What is the story you tell yourself? Because the story you tell yourself is is what life is, right?
Yeah. So with everything that occurred, do you consider yourself a minimalist then at this point? Are you like living out of a backpack? Are you and just got your scooter and your, like certain set of clothes and that's it? Or are you still somewhat attached to some materialistic things?
No, the thing is, some people think that I'm like this person, living with barely of some material stuff, but I'm not attached to it. So, for instance, now I live here in Da Nang. I have just a couple of t-shirts, but that's more because I don't really give a lot of clothes. So I kind of like the simplistic style, but I also do like quality. So I want, if I have a bike, I have a good bike. If I have a place, I have a nice place. Um, so it's not that I'm here to live like an old school hippie or something. I do like the quality of life, and I still have huge goals. But these goals are more on helping people and do something back to the world to make the world a better place. So my passion is more on that thing. And the less stuff you have, the less you have to think about stuff. So you have more space to, for me, put in my business, in the things that I love to do. So that's also a reason I like simple things, not to think too much. It's a bit like a real man, I guess.
Yeah. I have sort of the same thought as the things I choose to buy. I try to have really nice things that will last. Um, but I also sort of hate a lot of things I buy because in a way they start to own you because you buy a car and then it breaks down and then you're worried about the car, you're worried about paying insurance. All these things end up being a bill that then makes you have to make choices that might lead you to do things you don't really want to do in terms of making income. And that's I guess I have a love hatred for material things because sometimes they can make your life more enjoyable, but they also can put you in a situation where you're not happy in general.
You can make it yourself very complex, right?
Yeah.
And that's why I live a bit like this. I don't have a lot, but the things I have are more of quality. And I think also what I learned here in Vietnam is I really appreciate people, communities, because I'm always been a bit of a lone wolf, also back in the Netherlands, but also when I was traveling around. And now I notice that people around you, communities, matter. So I rather put some money and effort in people and in experiences than in stuff. I mean, when I came to Asia, I had just one bag. I sold everything. I gave everything away in the Netherlands. I have nothing there, nothing. But it's good. It's nice. It's light traveling, but also light in your mind. I love it. And it's not that I'm poor. I mean, I've been there, but no, yeah. So that's a good thing.
Um, I think most people never take a leap like you did to make a big change in their life because there's exactly the fear that kind of actually happened to you is ending up homeless and sleeping outside. Um, and I've sort of worked through that mentally. Like I always worry about money and like I'm gonna lose everything if I chase my dream of doing this type of work and it never has actually happened. I've been very close to not having money, but I've never ended up actually homeless. And like you're saying, your story, there's always someone, as long as you have a community of some sort, someone's going to help you out if you're really that low. For someone who's out there like afraid to like, go after their goal, and since you've lived it, what's sort of a piece of advice to maybe not end up exactly in your situation, but sort of expedite their goal or their dream, and to maybe not end up sleeping on a bench outside?
Yeah, well, I think it's just accepting the worst case. So just sit with it. Just sit with the worst case. Like, what's the worst case that can happen? Okay, you can lose everything and all your money, and you don't have a house. And the moment you can kind of accept that situation, I'm not saying you want that situation, like, oh, I want that. No, just if you can accept that, then you have then there comes some space of relief, and you kind of, the fear that comes with it is has no power over you because you can't accept it. So for me, if I, for instance, lose everything again, I accept that. I know that left or right, you will find a way. And even because I come from a background with barely no support, and still there was one person, a couple in the Netherlands that I just met a year before, and he was like, "Yo, stay here, man. No worries." Right? So even if you have almost no people around you, there's always somebody, you know. So I think just kind of accept the worst case. And another thing is that it's all about, like I said before, it's all about the story you tell yourself. So when things are very bad, I had a moment which, dark thoughts. It was so bad, and I called a friend of mine. He lived in Ibiza, an older guy, lives in a van, kind of a hippie but very cool guy. And I called him and I said, this is my life and this shit and that shit, blah 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 blah. And then he told me like, okay, Jeroen, what a story. Like, do you even hear what you're saying? And then he asked me to repeat it. But during the repeating, I was like, oh, this is so bad. And and then he said, this is your life. It's not actually life. It's the words you give it to it. And then he said, okay, change it a bit. So he changed my story a bit. He said something like, okay, you are at the lowest now, but every day will be a little bit better. And something like, oh, this is, in a few years, I will look back at this moment and will be so grateful. So he kind of changed my story. And I took this story from him and I just told myself this story every day. And what happens then is your surroundings will change, because not because the surrounding is changing, um, that's the cause, but you're changing, and that's why everything around you is changing. So it's like inner outer world. It's how you see the world. So you know, if something bad happens, just make a good story of it. For instance, you're driving a car and it breaks down, on the highway, and you're like, the first thing is like, oh no, I have an important meeting or whatever. But you can also think, and of course, first reaction is shit. All right, but then create a story. Say something like, okay, maybe this was a saving for me, because maybe if I went through, to the appointment, I was ending up in an accident. I don't know. Maybe this was a saving. So just change the story. And if you change your story constantly, so I'm very aware of my thoughts the whole day. What are my thoughts? Like, is it a positive story or not? If it's a negative story, I just change the story. It's very easy and very difficult at the same time, right?
Yeah, it's easy to say for sure. There's been many times where I've wanted to speed, or like, why didn't we hurry to get there? And then exactly what you're saying, there's a terrible accident ahead, and you're like, oh, that would have been us. That would have been terrible. Um, yeah, you shouldn't be in a rush really in life. Where you're at now, are you able to be more present in your day to day than you were living in Amsterdam at that peak level of where you were in Amsterdam?
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. Because in the Netherlands, in Amsterdam, I was living a script, and I think like most people do. So you wake up, and until you go to bed, there's some script you're just running, and 9 of the 10 times it's not even your script. It's just because a script of society or your parents or your wife or husband, and you're just running the whole day. So it's very difficult. I'm not saying it's impossible, but it's very difficult to find presence in such societies. And what I notice here is, all this rush. And that's also a thing. I thought, oh, doing business is always like, Alex Hormozy style and going, going, going. I did that for a long time and it worked, but it also kind of destroyed me. And here I'm just present, relaxed. I don't like ass off whole day. I just work when I want to work, do it in a certain flow, and be more present and enjoy more. Like, when somebody asks me, what are you doing? Like, if I ask you, what are you doing? Most people will say their job. Like, I'm an accountant, or I'm this or I'm that. If somebody asks me, I'm like, oh, I'm a biker. I love riding bike. And twice a week I play pickleball. And I just I don't want to mention only work. There's so much more than work, right? So I know that here it's I live more in that energy, more peaceful, and you can do it in any country. I'm not saying you have to flee your country to do that. Um, but I did. But that's me. Yeah.
Yeah, in America, it's very hard to have any conversation with anyone without the whole focus being what you do for work, because everything is about that. And no one just asks, like, what did you do today that brought you joy? Like, that's, you sound crazy if you talk to Americans that way. And I, I definitely have that in me, but I try not to be that way and try not to let work define me. But that's also sort of what I'm doing right now. I'm trying to just follow what makes me happy and make money at the same time. And I think if you can figure that out, you've doing a lot better than a lot of people out there. In terms of if people are wanting to um, refuse to settle, which is your phrase, how should they reach out to you? LinkedIn or through your website?
Yeah, sure. I'm always in for a good chat, so you can always reach out on me on LinkedIn, or you go to www.thenexusmastermind.com and you find all the information. And it's literally about refuse to settle and becoming the the 2.0 version of yourself. That's what's all about, and find the right people around you, so the communities. So yeah, of course. And I think you do it because you're just talking about not defining by work and stuff. I think what you're doing right now, even if it looks small, it's just these little small things about what we are doing, having this discussion is very helpful. So I think you do a great job, man.
Well, thank you very much. I hope it turns into something.
It will, man. It will.
All right.
It's the story.
Well, thank you for your time, and I'll let you go.
Yeah, thank you very much, man. Cheers.